Hey there friends, Rebecca here, the Dragon Librarian from Farmington Community Library, and Zephyr and I are here today to talk to you about a book that we just absolutely love. I'm pretty sure it's going to be one of my favorite fantasy books that I've read so far this year, so if you love fantasy, you're definitely going to want to check this one out. But first, I have a couple really awesome things I wanted to share with you straight away. The first being, we have a brand new dragon friend to help us with some of these book reviews. This is Eureka, and he is the very newest dragon in our horde, and we are very excited to be able to start teaching him how to do book reviews and help us out here. Like Zephyr, he's going to have to learn a whole lot before he's ready for that, but new dragon, very excited about that. And we'll have another new dragon soon as this one cracks open. We've already got some cracks showing in here. This is another dragon egg that will hopefully hatch soon, and then we will have even more dragons to be able to help us with some book reviews. So the reason I'm talking about dragons so much today is you probably got a hint, especially also with my shirt. We're going to be talking about a book that has to do with dragons. But before I want to do that, I want to talk one more second about something else really quick, and that is that last week there was a patron that actually came into the library to see me that was watches these videos and loves them, and she brought me 2 gifts. I was not able to see her while she was there, but I really wanted to show everyone these gifts because they're incredible. The first one is this amazing little dragon statue. Look at how pretty he is. I love him. And then the second one is this really awesome dragon rock, and it looks like an egg, right? That's cracking, and it's got a dragon eye peeking through. I absolutely love it. It's just the coolest thing ever, and I wanted to say thank you so much since I didn't get to see this person when they came into the library. Thank you so much for these gifts, and thank you for watching these videos. And this person inspired me for this video today because I just recently finished a book that is about dragons that I think everyone is going to absolutely lose their minds over, and I'm really happy to share it. This book is called I'm Afraid You've Got Dragons, and this is by Beagle. So obviously, seeing the cover and seeing all these dragons on the front, you know why I wanted to read this book, right? It's very clear, it's very obvious. But there's another reason I wanted to read this book, and that is because of Beagle. That name, if you are somebody who enjoys fantasy, it might be a name that you're familiar with. And that is because he is the author of The Last Unicorn, one of the most groundbreaking and fantastic fantasy books ever written. Now, that's not the only thing he's written. He's written many, many other books as well. All the ones I've read by him, I've absolutely loved. But he has also recently come out with a couple short stories collections, volume 1 and volume 2, and he really excels in the short form of writing. Short stories are not normally something I enjoy very much, but his were perfect. And this book is short. It's not short stories, but it is a novel, and it is absolutely fantastic. So this book reminded me a lot of The Princess Bride, not in anything that happens in it, like the story, but the tone of it, where it's just this beautiful little fantasy story with lots of regular fantasy tropes that you would expect, but also a ton of humor. And I absolutely loved the humor in this book. It had me giggling so many times, it had me smiling, and it just brought me a lot of joy to read this book. And I think that it's a book that even if you're not a fantasy fan, like if you're not a lover of the genre, I think you could absolutely love this book too. Like, kind of like how Lord of the Rings, you don't have to be a fantasy fan to watch the Lord of the Rings movies and love them, right? You don't even have to be a fan of Tolkien, which it kills me when people say that, but still, you don't have to be. Like, you can enjoy those movies on their own. And I think this book stands as a really great part of the fantasy genre that people will really, really enjoy. So what is it about? So it's about this young man whose name is extremely long. I'm going to read it to you. Gaius Aurelius Constantine Heliogabalus Thrax, but he prefers to be called Robert. So Robert has inherited this job, this profession from his father, okay? And that profession happens to be dragon exterminating. Now, dragons in this story, in this world, there are really big ones that are super rare, but most of the dragons that they're talking about in this book are basically like kind of pests. Like if you're thinking of people exterminating rats or exterminating bugs, that's what people think of when they're thinking of dragons. Like, oh, my home is infested with dragons, and there's all these little dragons everywhere. And that's what Robert has to go and exterminate them. So the profession, I mean, I guess exterminators are looked on kind of like, ugh, I don't really know, but in the book at least, the profession is looked on as kind of like a squeamish one. And so Robert is kind of like, ugh, people don't really talk to him or, treat him that greatly anyway because of this profession. Now there's another issue too. Robert loves dragons. He absolutely loves them. He has these bonds with them. He has a few that he has rescued, that he actually brought back to his home, that he keeps basically as pets. He lives with his mother and some of his siblings, and he keeps them as pets, and he communicates with them in ways that other people cannot, and he really loves them. But this is the profession, this is the job that he has, that his father passed down to him, and he's got to make money to support his family. So he's in this job that he hates. Even though this is a fantasy story, I think like a lot of people can identify with that, right? Oh my gosh, I'm doing this job and I hate it, but I have to make money to live, right? Well, that's what's going on with Robert. Now, he wouldn't have this problem if he was a librarian because it's the best job ever. But anyway, he's a dragon exterminator, loves dragons. Therein lies the problem. So he wants out of this profession, but then he gets called in to the king comes to visit him because he has to get rid of all these dragons that are infesting his castle. The reason he has to do that is because his daughter, Princess Ceres, has fallen in love with this prince, Reginald, and she wants to impress him. So now Robert has to go and get rid of all these dragons, even though he doesn't want to do it. And they end up basically on this quest because Reginald has to prove himself as a prince. And they're like, well, the best way to do that is to kill a big dragon. Who knows about dragons? Robert does. So the princess, the prince, and Robert are now on this shenanigans-filled quest to slay this dragon. Even though the princess doesn't know what she's doing, the prince doesn't know anything that he's doing, and Robert doesn't want to be knowing what he's doing. So they basically go on this quest, and nothing is as it seems. And there are lots of things, truths that come to light, and lots of different twists that were really interesting and fun to read about. And this is just a fantasy story and like a fairy tale that is not going to go the way you think it's going to go. But it is absolutely delightful. If I could pick one word to describe this book, it would be delightful. It is filled with dragons. It is filled with characters that you can really identify with, where you have, Princess Ceres, who is just, grown up and doesn't really know what she wants out of life. You've got Prince Reginald, who everybody thinks is this big hero, but he's really not. You've got Robert, who's stuck in a job that he hates, and he's forced to hunt these dragons down that he really, really likes. So you've got all these characters that have all these different things going on, and their personalities are just so interesting. But you've also got this level of humor that's running through it too, because this book does not take itself too seriously, which sometimes fantasy books can be a little daunting because they're very serious, and there's all these serious things going on. But this book does not take itself too seriously, and it's just a lot of fun. So much fun. So like I said, if you are a person that loves fantasy, you're going to love this book. If you're a person that is afraid of fantasy, doesn't really read too much of it ever, you're still going to love this book, I promise, because it's funny and whimsical and just a really just amazing time. I loved this so much. Peter Beagle is an amazing writer. If you have not read The Last Unicorn, if you don't know anything about him, you're in for a treat, because this is absolutely fantastic. I'm afraid you've got dragons. Well, that's what I've got for you guys today. I hope you're really excited about this book and you're super hyped about it. I know I am, and just thought it was an absolute delight to read, and I hope you are too. And if so, please feel free to come check it out from Farmington Community Library. And also, thank you so very much for watching, my friends, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week.